Hello students! Today we are going to explore the character of Scrooge from A Christmas Carol with a particular focus on his miserly nature. Complete all Christmas Carol character lessons to earn a badge at the end. In total, we will be exploring 4 key characteristics of Scrooge's character. Today we will be focusing on his miserly nature. At the outset, Scrooge's extreme stinginess, frugality, and lack of generosity shape his interactions and decisions, casting a cold shadow over his life and those around him. He has a distinct lack of empathy towards the poor, believing that they should help themselves instead of asking for help from others. As we trace his encounters with various characters and witness his gradual transformation and growth through the visits of the 3 spirits, we'll uncover the profound impact of his miserliness on his ultimate redemption. At the beginning of the novel, Scrooge's miserliness is immediately apparent. He refuses to spend money on heating his office, leaving both himself and his clerk, Bob Cratchit, to work in the cold. Scrooge's stinginess extends to his treatment of others, as he begrudgingly allows Cratchit only a single day off for Christmas without pay. This initial depiction sets the stage for understanding Scrooge's extreme frugality and lack of generosity. The narrator describes the fact that Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room, and so surely as the clerk came in with the shovel, the master predicted that it would be necessary for them to part. In this part of the story, the setting is established in Scrooge's counting house on a cold, bleak Christmas Eve. Ebenezer Scrooge is introduced as a miserly, cold-hearted businessman who won't even spend money on basic comforts like heating. His clerk, Bob Cratchit, also suffers in the freezing office because Scrooge refuses to allow sufficient coal for a proper fire. The fact that Scrooge had a very small fire indicates that Scrooge is unwilling to spend money even on his own comfort. His small fire symbolizes his extreme frugality and self-denial, which is a key aspect of his miserliness. The clerk, Bob Cratchit, has an even smaller fire, described as so small that it looked like one coal. This highlights Scrooge's stinginess and lack of consideration for his employees' well-being. By providing Cratchit with such inadequate heating, Scrooge's unwillingness to spend money is not just self-directed but extends to others, demonstrating his overall lack of generosity. Scrooge keeps the coal box in his own room, showing his tight control over resources. This means Cratchit cannot replenish his fire without Scrooge's permission, reinforcing Scrooge's authority and miserly control over even the most basic necessities. Furthermore, the threat of dismissal, it would be necessary for them to part, if Cratchit attempts to take more coal underscores Scrooge's harshness and unwillingness to spend money on even essential items for his employees. Secondly, Scrooge's interactions with other characters further illustrate his miserly nature. When the charity collectors approach him for donations to help the poor, Scrooge dismisses them by asking,
"Are there no prisons?
And
And the union workhouses?"
this shows that instead of expressing genuine concern for the people in need, Scrooge uses rhetorical questions to dodge the request and imply that there are already institutions, like prisons and workhouses, to care for them. This demonstrates his lack of empathy and unwillingness to part with his wealth. This interaction underscores Scrooge's disregard for social responsibility, as he refuses to help others, highlighting his miserly character and his prioritization of personal wealth over the well-being and happiness of those around him. Finally, let's look at how Scrooge's transformation begins as he reflects on his past, present, and potential future during the visits from the 3 spirits. These experiences force Scrooge to confront the true cost of his miserliness, ultimately leading to his redemption and newfound generosity. In Scrooge's own words,
"I will honour Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all 3 shall strive within me."
this quote shows how deeply Scrooge has changed. He pledges to honour Christmas and its spirit throughout the year, signifying a massive shift from his earlier dismissal of it as humbug. This word is so associated with Dickens's novella that we may neglect to understand what it implies. For while the word initially expresses Scrooge's conception of things he opposes as deceptions, the novella takes him to a point where he realises his own degree of self-deception. This change demonstrates that he now values love, generosity, and community. By stating his intention to live in the past, the present, and the future, Scrooge shows he understands the importance of time and the lessons it brings. Unlike before, when he was fixated on his past grievances, Scrooge now appreciates how time shapes his life and relationships. Finally, when he says, The spirits of all three shall strive within me, he means that he has internalized the lessons from the spirits and will let them guide his actions. This is a clear sign of his growth from a miserly, isolated man to a compassionate and thoughtful person. And that brings us to the end of today's lesson. We explored how Ebenezer Scrooge's miserly nature was evident in his cold and stingy treatment of Bob Cratchit. Scrooge's lack of empathy toward charity demonstrates his rejection of social responsibility. We also saw his profound transformation and growth through the visits from the three spirits, leading to his ultimate redemption. Remember to keep revising this lesson, focusing on Scrooge's journey from miserliness to generosity. See you next time.